Hi, it's Kim Boon. Last week, I saw news that the Singapore Democratic Alliance was contesting in Pasir Ris-Changi GRC. So my first instinct was to ignore it, because while there's a lot of pomp and circumstance, I did not really get a lot of substance. So today a thought occurred to me. I claim to be non-partisan, but I didn't even give them a fair chance. So I thought it would be interesting to do a thought experiment. So I put myself in the shoes of a Pasir Ris-Changi voter. Using my best effort, I'm going to find out all about the SDA, and I'm going to form a real and informed opinion. So let's put on those shoes and see what we can find. So let's start with a quick game. Okay, look at this collection of likely candidates in GE2025. Can you tell me who is from SDA? I'm guessing most of you have no clue. Or maybe you managed to identify SDA's chairman. So this reality is most depressing and quite instructive, because voters probably don't know anyone from SDA. And in a rare occasion that they do, it comes down to one personality, and we're talking about Mr. Desmond Lim. And this is troubling because Mr. Lim has been in this GRC since 2006. In fact, he ran in 2006 losing, 2011 losing again, 2015 once again losing, and more recently in 2020, you guessed it, losing. So it is rather shocking to me that he still lacks brand recognition. To add to these woes, the 2025 electoral boundary changes have exacerbated this recognition problem. So the Punggol area of the former Pasir Ris Punggol GRC has been totally carved out. The new Pasir Ris-Changi GRC takes what's left and adds the Loyang and Flora estates from East Coast. Put it this way, there's around 12.9 thousand voters coming from East Coast that will have little idea who SDA or Mr. Lim are, or around 13% of the voter base. Now, I want to talk about a related subject. With elections looming, you want to know about your candidates.
In normal day, I think the media space are very precious, and they spend time focused on those parties that have MP in the parliament, and that's why there are many coverage for WP, PSP, and also there's another one exemption is the SDP.
So this is a good point. Smaller parties have zero representation in parliament and often limited airtime in the mainstream media. They simply do not have the platform to talk about their positions. So voters often have to pick up little clues here and there about these unknown candidates. And one such moment came from Mr. Lim. He was addressing a reporter's question about the electoral boundary changes and how it impacts SDA's odds in GE 2025.
First, I think that no matter how they gerrymander, how they change the boundaries, the issue is always there. As long you are living in this island, not whether you stay in the east or west or central, north, south, you are facing the similar problems. So to us, our job is to continue to actually voice for the people and provide assistance if there's a need.
So this replies everything that is wrong about the SDA and a lot of the smaller political parties. People are already ready to write you off, and if you cannot demonstrate that you have done your homework, voters are going to be even less likely to keep you in mind. And if I were Mr. Lim, I would have spoken to the fact that I'm getting 12,871 great Singaporeans from East Coast, welcome them to Pasir Ris-Changi family, and maybe even subtly highlight that they were promised the Prime Minister. Then after the elections, that promise did not come true. I could even highlight that despite having then PM in waiting, Mr. Heng Swee Keat, PAP only won 83% of the votes, reflecting that voters are not satisfied.
We hope that the residents of Changi Division, like Pasir Ris residents, give us an opportunity to serve them, and many in Pasir Ris can witness. We are not fly-by-night party, as in the social media.
You know what? Then Mr. Lim needs to show voters that he knows things and demonstrate that he has thought through things like political strategy robustly. So the frustrating thing about Mr. Desmond Lim is that he really does seem like a decent guy that just wants to serve the people. However, voters judge candidates on their thinking, which is unfortunately not showing, and also importantly, their actions. So this is where Mr. Lim really shines.
In our list is more than 3,000 over beneficiaries, which they are from needy families, senior citizens, destitute orphanage homes.
So Mr. Lim has his own charity called Dedicated Locals Caring Community. So those activities you saw in the video are real. but few people will ever know that he helps almost 2,000 residents every day with packed lunches, and consistently too for many years. And it's even more odd that this is completely by his own design.
I don't need other people to remember me, but I just need my son, my close one, my wife know that I was with them. That's all.
His good nature has prompted him to keep his charitable efforts low-key. In his words, he does not want people to misunderstand and think that he wants to score political points. You know what? I admire that. But let's think about a corporate analogy. When I was a young analyst, I was hardworking and worked dog hours day in, day out. Then one day, my boss came up to me and asked, "Why am I working so hard?" So I can't remember what exactly I replied, but it was to the effect of wanting to deliver results for the company. Then he said, "You work so hard, you have the best deck in the world. If no one knows you did it, then what's the point?" So if you put in the hard work, you should own it and shout about it. When you're recognized for your work and become somebody next time, you put yourself in a position to recognize others in the future doing that same thing and help them up the corporate ladder. So during COVID, you guys remember how Singapore ran out of masks? So Mr. Lim leveraged on contacts in Indonesia and China to find masks and donated 40,000 of this to 2 hospitals, old folks' home and nurseries. So I really respect him for putting in the effort to make Singaporeans' life better. And it is quite sad that few people will ever hear about it by his own design. Instead, he is often known for his gaffles. So we talked about candidates being judged for their thinking, their action, but the one that really hurts Mr. Lim are his optics. So in what was dubbed as the first online rally, this was Mr. Lim talking.
For me, Desmond Lim, dedicated local, determined leader. The notions of science does not matter. It is experience, strength, dedication, and devotion that will get things done. You have seen this rise and fall of those dominant ones. Being backed by big party names did not stop the wrong from happening. Vote for me, Desmond Lim. Vote for the SDA. Let us represent the alternative voice of Singaporeans.
So turns out he was given a speech 10 minutes before and it was very late at night. But this video garnered over 200,000 views and did nothing to help him at the voters' booth. But it did set him up for ridicule for years to come. And unfairly so, if I may add. So just to draw some parallels. So legendary Workers' Party veteran Mr. Loh Tak Yang and PAP's Minister Chan Chuan Sing, their delivery are not great. Do people judge them as harshly as they do Mr. Lim? I must admit that I was one of those that laughed at his rally when I first saw it. After I learned that he is genuinely passionate about serving the community with his low-key grassroots efforts, I feel really bad about it. And I was reminded that we ought to judge a man not by how he looks or speaks, but by his action. I think there's a lot to be commended about Mr. Lim's actions, and I always say that politics in Singapore is more grassroots than personalities. And this should have given him a distinct advantage in the voting booths. However, his reluctance to play up his community efforts has seen him bogged down by his more negative public personas. Also, I think the SDA has gotten the key issues right. Cost of living, transport, jobs, education, housing are issues that concern Singaporeans, but they are struggling or have not been able to show sufficient evidence that they have a good plan to solve these problems. And that gives Singaporeans pause when thinking about whether to vote SDA. So that's my thoughts on Desmond Lim and SDA. I went really deep to find out more about them, but even then I found the details lacking. For the average voter who is never going to put in this level of diligence, they may never know Desmond Lim the person, only someone that seems to appear every 5 years or a buffoon on social media, and that to me is an absolute tragedy. So what are your thoughts about Mr. Desmond Lim and the SDA? As usual, I would love to hear them in the comment section, and until next time, this is our Red Dot Perspective.